Well, hello. Welcome to my channel where I give my unsolicited opinion on whatever it is I like. Today we're going to be discussing Ready to Love Season 5, Part 1 of the reunion. Tommy opens up the episode by letting us know that Omarion has paid him and his household a visit, and therefore he won't be able to host. But don't you fret, because the fabulous Tanika Ray is filling in. Tommy then proceeds to let us know that Miss Tanika Ray is with the shits, so the cast should think twice before they try her. We open up the reunion with a view of all of the cast members on stage with Tanika, and right off the bat, I wanted to discuss the fashions. I was underwhelmed by the fashions. I will say that all of the women on the cast have beautiful shapes and lovely figures, so my best dress will have to go to both Sydney and Sabrina. We get the discussion started with the wild cards of the season, starting with Sean. We revisit the highlights of Sean's journey, which of course includes the infamous interaction he had with Sabrina's friends and family. After we view the clips, it is clear that Sean is still salty, so Sabrina offers him yet another apology, which he accepts, and we get a little overview of Sydney's interactions with her two connections, Phil and Frank. Tanika throws her first little bit of light shade and says, "Oh, it was two? That's it? I thought it was more." "We did too, girl. We did too." But Sydney came to play the game, and she was up in everybody's face, but how else was she gonna find her man? It was cute to see the cast members' reaction to Sabrina and Phil's decision day moments. And after the vignette, Sydney lets us know that, "Oh no, ma'am, I wasn't up in everybody else's face. Your man's was up in my face." Sabrina and Phil then explain and express how they were attracted to one another, and Tanika jumps in and says, "Well, Sydney, how much of your decision to be with Phil was based on Frank not being completely sure that he wanted to be with you?" Sydney then explains that it was a difficult process, but her and Frank are going to be lifelong besties. Sydney and Phil then confirm that they are exclusively dating, and we wish them the best of luck. We love to see it. I don't know if it's going to last, but we love to see it nonetheless. We then move on to Camille and Cornelius, and I thought Tanika did an interesting job with trying to explain Camille's personality as animated. Now, that's not the word that I would use, but before they get into the montage that they put together of Camille and her antics during the season, we see Cornelius give her a tight little hug and basically tell her to brace herself for what she's about to see. We then flash back to see the many faces of Camille in her most cringeworthy moments where she was being completely overly possessive of Cornelius, a stranger that she just recently met. I don't remember this scene during the season where Camille was explaining her multiple personalities. I'm pretty sure she was never clinically diagnosed with having multiple personalities, but this is going to be the way she explains her erratic behaviors, I guess. Even goes as far as to joke about taking medication, which I just didn't find funny. We finally reach the end of the vignette, and Tanika wants to know who is actually sitting on the couch and present for the reunion today. Camille lets us know it's her and that she's been to therapy. I just have one question. When did Cornelius get grills? I'm very confused about this. His suit is just really distracting, and I don't know. I can't read his body language. Tanika wants to know if they're shacking up yet. Stage where the other castmates are watching, you have some sidebar conversations going on, and someone yells out, they're not even having sex. Why would they move together? And then Cindy says something along the lines of, she suspects that Cornelius will be moving in with Camille in about a month or so. Then Tanika and the rest of us would like to know if Camille is always this possessive when it comes to men that she is pursuing. And in that moment, Camille actually confirms what everyone else saw, that she did look crazy, possessive, obsessive even. Wait a minute now, this is actually not an admission. Camille then goes ahead and blames her bad imagery on editing. Lucky for her, Sabrina is on stage as well and chimes in by saying, "There's only but so much editing in the world." And Camille lets us know that she was a theater major at some point. That's what she's going to hang her hat on. Nika says there's no way that editing could have edited all of the faces that you made during the season. Then Camille says that no, she is not going to own that she was possessive. Then Camille says, "I am a very sarcastic individual and people just don't get it." And in that moment, And I don't know if this was real editing or what. Tanika was like, yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, thank you. Seemed like there was a little tension in that moment, but we didn't get to see everything that happened. But based on the laughing and cackling that Sabrina is, it sounds like it went down. Tanika then asked Sabrina what her opinion on Camille and Cornelius's union is, and Sabrina basically said she has zero dams to give. And just as it looks like we're going to go off to another commercial, Aisha chimes in with her 2 cents on Camille's nasty behavior. Aisha wants to know why Camille didn't address her aggressiveness towards the other ladies during this portion of the reunion. Believe it or not, Tanika is nodding in agreement and actually says yes. Cornelius clutches Camille's arm. And Aisha continues on and says that you can't blame a bad behavior and a lack of personality on editing. There's only so much editing can do, and she's right, And we end the segment with Camille telling Aisha to keep it classy. Now, it seems to me that this is a topic that Camille was not looking forward to discuss. This needs to be addressed. When I say this, I mean Camille and Zadia's behavior towards the other women. Okay, y'all, we're back from the commercial, and we get into Tyrone and Carrie's journey, including Tyrone's difficulty with being able to juggle more than one connection at a time. Personally, I just don't understand how the women even had connections with Tyrone. Based on what we saw, Tyrone seems like it's just really hard to communicate with him. He, has his own unique way of interpreting things and just saying things. I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't seem like he means to be rude, but it definitely comes out that way. In this moment, we also learn that Shiloh is not here for the reunion. I think that is very interesting. But anyway, we get back to speaking on Tyrone's delivery, how he decided to end things with Carrie. And Tanika graciously gives Tyrone another opportunity to break up with Carrie again. And he takes it. Carrie She thanks him. We're moving on. I'm not talking about this anymore. So now we go into Cornelius's very short journey, and I can't help but wonder if, while they're playing these flashbacks, if he feels embarrassed by the way that Camille treated him throughout this entire process. It's a little weird and cringy to watch. The camera pans backstage where the majority of the men are watching along with the rest of us. Their reactions to the way Camille has treated Cornelius were very strong. I'm sure her rude and condescending behavior has nothing at all to do with her alleged theater degree, or whatever it was that she claimed to have. Then you have confessions from the other castmates that are speaking on Cornelius being chokehold by Camille, so he couldn't really do what it was that he wanted to do. Even during some of the flashbacks, you see Cornelius make comments about putting all his eggs in one basket. But I don't know, I think Cornelius is one of the men that like to be dominated by women. I think the only way he doesn't want to be dominated is sexually, or with sexual energy. Cornelius is definitely afraid of Camille. I always laugh at Cornelius's reaction to Camille telling him that she was self-eliminating. He just seemed like he really, in that moment, realized that he wasn't going to be able to shake Camille. So being eliminated was not the blessing that he thought it would be. So Tanika decides she wants to go ahead and stir the pot. So she asks Cornelius and his keeper if they watch the show on a weekly basis and how his keeper felt about footage of Cornelius with the other women. Cornelius then lets us know that he is required to give a full explanation of the interaction that was caught on footage to his keeper. Cornelius then tries to muster up some form of a masculine response to Tanika's questions, saying that he actually got to know the other ladies and that it doesn't take him a lot of time to figure out a person, and that Camille was actually his type and he felt grateful when he saw her at the start of this process. But I'm a little confused because we met Cornelius's ex. She looks nothing like Camille, so I'm not exactly sure what Cornelius's type is. I also do not agree that he had a chance to mingle with the other women, and he actually even admitted that he felt he was putting all his eggs in one basket by allowing Camille to monopolize all his time. Meanwhile, backstage, the men actually confirm Cornelius really didn't get the opportunity to meet up with the other women. Now, Courtney is on stage. Courtney admits that Camille didn't put any fear in her heart and that she actually enjoys being the aggressor towards men and that Camille is no competition for her. But then Courtney says that she did feel that Camille was aggressive towards the other women. And then Camille's going to have the nerve to say, didn't we talk about that aggressive word though? Ma'am, you do not get to dictate what the other women do. Just because you get to dictate what Cornelius does not mean that you are allowed that right with anyone else. Have a seat and be quiet. So then Aisha chimes in because now we're going to get into how Camille and Zadia maybe were aggressive and maybe even bullies during the process. Aisha says that Camille actually stopped other women from getting to know or getting closer to Cornelius because she was bullying them and threatening them. Now, it seems like the women got together as a collective to compare notes in their experience of Camille and maybe Zadia. And it sounds like the women collectively agreed that Camille was overly aggressive and potentially a bully. Then Sabrina says that she feels that Cornelius probably has regret with how things played out with him because he was unable to check Camille. Backstage, the men are saying that Camille saw Cornelius and marked him. So here's the thing. I really feel that Sabrina has some exclusive tea on Cornelius. I don't know if they had private conversations or what have you, but she for sure knows something is going on. She seems to have some insight into how Cornelius may be really feeling, but is too afraid to express. Sis, spill the tea. So Tanika turns to Zadia and says, oh, well, you had some type of past, didn't you? And then we get into the Brown Girl Squad fiasco. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say that Zadia, I don't know why she was quote unquote given a pass because I believe that Zadia actually took a pass at Cornelius when she went to deliver news of his potential elimination. I wonder what that conversation was like after Camille got wind of that. Okay, so then we get into the Brown Girl Squad fiasco. Okay, so the other ladies say that the Brown Girl Squad was definitely some type of group that was based on colorism. They said Aisha wasn't dark enough, Sabrina wasn't dark enough, so Zadia chimes in and starts to tell people what they're not going to do and tries to convince us that the Brown Girl Squad was not based on colorism. It was more so based on their appreciation of their melanin. So Zadia and Camille's denial of the formation of their group seems to have really set off Sabrina. Sabrina is about on an 8.5 right now, talking about accountability. Zadia is just sitting there staring with this weird smile on her face. Tanika asked Zadia if Sabrina could be part of the Brown Girl Squad. Zadia said, oh, hell no. Then Sabrina goes from an 8.5 to a 10. She done called Zadia out her name and everything. She done called Zadia a bully. She said she was mean. And then Zadia slowly gets up from the couch, and I thought it was going to be on. Sabrina continues on, giving Zadia a piece of her mind. And then Cornelius chimes in and says, I thought this was supposed to be my segment. We now view Frank and Mumin's journey. Okay, let me just say this. I did not think that these two really liked each other like that. So I was just a little confused as to why they chose each other in the end. And my only guess is that neither one of them had anyone else, so there's that. But Frank's family really did like Mumin. Now, Mumin's family, I don't know if they really cared for Frank too much. So then Mumin tells us that since the end of the show, Frank has been a no-show. Frank then says silly excuse about needing to regroup. I'm a little confused by Frank's excuse because I thought he was in the entertainment industry, does something with clubs. I think that's just an excuse. I don't think he really wanted to be with her. Girl, Frank's over here talking about being hurt before, expectations, this, that, and the third, the way she holds his hand, being too deep, being too shallow. Frank does not deserve her. Girl, not Camille trying to chime in and give somebody advice. You got Cornelius over there in a daggone chokehold, and I know when you look at playback and see Cornelius backstage sitting so close to Courtney, I believe Cornelius might be in danger. Now we get into all the drama that happened between the ladies during deliberations. I mean, and looking back in some of the footage, I have to say that in some instances, I can clearly tell when Camille is just playing. But then there are those other instances where she is just being aggressive. And if I had to choose between Camille and Zadia, I would say that Zadia is definitely the more aggressive of the two. Okay, and looking at the footage, I'm going to go ahead and say that it was clear to me that Zadia definitely was hating on Aisha. And to me, after we have seen the whole season and we saw how Zadia came for Aisha when Aisha wasn't even there to defend herself, I think that Zadia might be intimidated by Aisha for some reason. So after the footage is played, the camera pans over to Sabrina, who says, should I take my shoes off now or later? Sabrina feels like there is a strong possibility that it might just go down, and your girl said she wants to be prepared for whatever. She said she's going to stay on ready when it comes to these girls, okay? So after Cornelius and Nye had front row seats to the effery that went on during that dinner, Nye is really going to fix his face and try to say that the rest of the women are jealous of Zadia. Sir, have several seats because you didn't even realize that you were not Zadia's number one choice and you wanted to fight for her like y'all had some strong connection when really you were just a backup plan at best. Okay, so Nye is saying that the ladies feel some type of way today because they saw the playback of previous deliberations where a majority of the men were choosing on Zadia. Interesting theory, but no, I highly doubt it. Not everyone is a Camille, okay? I think the only one that would get in trouble for having any interest in another woman would be Cornelius. I think for the most part, the majority, if not all of the other women besides Camille, seem to be more open-minded with this process. Sydney finally has enough and asks one of the other men to check Nai, and I agree, he is completely out of line. Sir, why are you getting involved in the women's drama? That is so unattractive. Like, stay in your place. This has nothing to do with you. Mind yours. Sydney says something along the lines of producers need to give Nai a peach or something, and then Zadia says, you don't even have a peach. Nadia, she was selected. You were sent home. Okay. So then Zadia is going to try to explain away the fact that she was hating on Aisha. I mean, at this point, I think it's safe to say that Zadia just doesn't like Aisha because Aisha got the man that she wanted. Girl, no, Camille didn't sit her behind on this stage and gaslight the host, her castmates, and the viewers. Ma'am, you said that mess. You said it. We saw you say it. There was no editing behind it. This is terrible. I can't believe she's going out this bad. Camille gonna say that was not her voice. Stop. Tommy warned y'all about Tanika Ray. So Tanika Ray said, okay, we will play this game if you want, Camille. So she plays back that scene and we can clearly see that it is Camille's lips moving real time with the audio. Camille, you went out real bad in this moment. It would have been 10 times better if you just admitted to what you said. Now I'm second guessing my original thought that you were and not serious when you said that you would F the other girls up, but maybe I was wrong. Girl, the producers put it on a daggone loop. This is really bad for her. Nye with his silly self trying to get his little peach or plum or whatever the heck, blue crab, whatever, gonna say, I was there, I didn't hear it. Sir, you heard it, you just don't want to admit it. Cordelia is gonna have the nerve to have a confused look on his face. He clearly has been spending too much time with Camille. Then my girl Tasia has had enough. She gets up from her chair and says, this is ghetto. I have had enough. And our good sis walks out. And I don't blame her. Tasia lets those people know that they are way too old to be acting this foolish. So that was it for part 1. I'll see you for part 2. How did you think Tanika Ray did hosting? Who did you think was best dressed? And what was your favorite moment of the reunion? Get down in the comments and let me know what you think.